welcome to another episode of Sanusi Vision Art and Life. My name is Adewale Boke Jr. Please review us, rate us, give us a 5-star, don't be a hater. Today, I'm going to talk about the business of art. And there's several things that are very important. You've got rights, you've got price, you've got value, you've got ownership, you've got creative control. Now, those are 5 important things I think that are very vital in the business of art. And I'm going to focus on each one individually. So first of all, we're going to start off with rights. Now, what do I mean by rights? Whenever you create something, because a lot of artists don't understand the business side of art, which is really frustrating to me sometimes. When you create something, the minute you've created it, you have the right to it. You own it. Now, there's 2 ways you can have the rights. Now, with the rights, you have to be careful about not signing things for whatever company you decide to go work for, because you have to keep this in mind. Whenever you create something within a company structure, they own it. But if you're working for yourself and you create it, you own it. Because even if you do work for a company, they don't own what you create if you didn't sign anything for them stating that they own whatever you create within their structure. Like for a lot of artists that work for Marvel or DC, I'm sure there's some kind of disclosure they have to sign that says that whenever they create something, somehow Marvel or DC owns it. Well, that's kind of tough because one day whenever that thing is created, becomes big, now you are looking to recoup your money or your rights or whatever, and you can't because why? You signed it away. It's very important. The most important thing of all the things I'm talking about today is rights. You have to hold on to your rights because your rights can create opportunities for you. A lot of artists have this tendency to think that art is just something to do. Art is not just something to do. Art can be a livelihood for you. Art can be a way of living. It can be a way of survival. It can be a way of building a future for yourself, having a security, living your dream. Art is just not something that people are just going to do. This is why I get really frustrated with people that come up to you and say, hey, man, this thing's going to take you 2 minutes. Maybe you can draw this real fast. No, there's no such thing as me drawing real fast. And no, you don't get to dictate what the price is. Or when I do something for you, well, if you give me this $500, okay, you pay me $500 or something, but you're going to go make millions of dollars for it. That ain't going to work. Don't step to me if you can't afford what I charge. So when I talk about rights, that's what I mean by rights. You have to hold on to the rights of what you create because it can lead to merchandising, it can lead to apparel, it can lead to footwear, it can lead to all kinds of things, movies, animation, marketing. I mean, it's just so many places you can put it. You know, imagine if you have the rights to something, and let's say a company like Target sees something you created. So instead of having to go through some other company to get verification or approval, they can go through you, pay you directly. You can receive all the residuals that are due to you versus some other company, some other dude that you work for, some person getting residuals for what you created. Never allow any other company to take what you've created. That's why it's vital that you hold on to your rights. Your rights is so important. I cannot stress that enough. Now, on to our next point, price. This has always been a big problem in art. Price. People think that they can just roll up on you and tell you, well, it's going to cost, this is what you value at. No, you don't get to tell me what I'm valued at. Currently, as I speak right now, I charge $150 an hour for any project I do. I'll tell a customer, this project is going to take 10 hours. Well, then it's $150 an hour times 10 hours. If you can't afford it, then take your broke behind onto somebody else and let them do it for free because I'm not doing anything for you for free. You don't get to walk up to me and tell me how much I'm going to charge. No, I set the price. I'm the artist. If you want something cheaper, you take your butt somewhere else. Too long of many artists just don't work for free and act like they're doing us a favor. You're not doing me a favor. Art is a moment of creation. Art is a mental creation. It's to construct something from out of thin air, from nowhere. So don't come up to me and say, well, these are the things, this is how much it's going to cost. I think it's how much it costs. And the minute you start the conversation like that, conversation is over. I can't tell many people I've told to go to hell when they're talking about, well, I've got this amount of money. Okay, well, then take that amount of money you got and go find somebody else that will okay with that money. Because me, I'm not the one with it. I don't play that. It's $150 an hour for now. Because as I get bigger, that price is only going to get bigger. It's only going to go up. I'm not going to devalue myself for no one. My price is my price. There is no negotiating. There's not going to be me working 40 hours for free. Because a lot of this art that you see, whether it's on my website, sunshop.com, or my characters that I've created, Carjack vs. Assassins, it's taken me years and God knows how many hours to make them look the way they look. So I don't play no games when it comes to my art. You will pay me the price I charge, or you can take your broke behind somewhere else and let somebody else do work for free, because I don't work for free. So price now coming up to value. Problem with a lot of artists too also, value. They don't respect their own value. And if you don't respect your own value, how do you expect anybody else to respect your value? You shouldn't draw something and then lower the price just so that some person that has no money can buy it. I'm not playing that. When I used to go to the art shows, I remember when I first started, I used to sell my drawings for $5. And I just looked at myself one day like, are you really going to keep selling your drawings for $5 when it takes you God knows how many hours and how many weeks just to draw one drawing? And one day I just decided, you know what? I'm done with $5. So I moved it up to $8. And then at the same time, I said, I'm at $8. Really? $8? No, that's not going to work. Not with my skill level, not with my talent. So I moved it up to $12. And then when I got up to $12, I said, nah, I'm still devaluing myself. So I moved it up to $15. And at that time at the art shows, it was $15 a poster, 11 by 17. Or if you want a big poster, it was $79.99. And I said, nah, that's still not enough. Now that same poster that's $12 to $15, I would be like, you can buy 3, get 1 free. And you'd have freeloaders that come to the show. They're always thinking that artists were supposed to do work for free. Like, so do you have anything for $10? No, my posters are $15. If you don't like the price, go somewhere else. Now I've been telling them, I blatantly would tell customers at convention shows, yeah, take your butt to another table. This ain't the table for $5 posters. Sorry, I don't play them games. I value myself. So then I went from $15 to $24.99 a pop. So right now, currently on my website, sanusivisionshop.com, all my posters, 11 by 17, is $24.99. So I found a price that I value myself at. And I'm going to keep going up because I'm going to keep getting bigger and greater. I'm not ever going to devalue myself for anybody. My posters, my canvas prints, these are all things that come out of my mind. The mind is a place of creation. It's not just free construction. The bigger I get, the more I do, the more value I see in myself. I value myself. I'm not going to let somebody else dictate my value. A friend once told me, good things aren't cheap, great things aren't cheap, and cheap things aren't great. So I say, you know what? I'm great. So why should I be cheap? People like great things. People like quality things, but they don't want to pay price for it. Sorry, I'm not devaluing myself for anybody. This ain't the dollar store. Sorry, if you want no value, you can go wherever you want to go, but it ain't gonna be me. So that's where value comes in. As an artist, set your price and stick to your price because your audience, your customers, your clients, those who value what you do are out there. You know, I remember selling 100 posters at one at a WonderCon. It was a great day, but those posters were sort of like $5 a pop. And I said, imagine if I did that same 100 posters at the $15, $24.99 a pop that I have now. It's about value. It's about understanding. Because when I first started, I didn't understand value. I was just more about like, well, hopefully somebody's going to buy my poster. Nah, that's not the game now anymore. I have too much respect, too much for my talent to say my value is my value. And you can either afford it or you can't, but it don't make no difference to me because you can go somewhere else if you can't. So now, on to the next part of this, ownership. Now, for a lot of artists, once again, ownership is a problem for a lot of artists. They don't understand the term ownership. The difference between ownership and rights. Ownership, when you create something, you own it. The minute you've created it, the second, yada, yada, does not matter. You own it. I don't care if you draw a line. You own it. And ownership is important because it comes back to documentation. You want to understand the documents that allow you to be a owner of what you created. So you can copyright it, you can trademark it, all these different platforms, you can patent it. First things first, ownership. Like a lot of artists don't understand copywriting. Okay, so copywriting can work 2 ways. You can do poor man's copyright, which is for you to go to the post office and do a registered mail to yourself. I'm going to say that again. Poor man's copyright. You can do a registered mail to yourself. So you put your address in the to, and you put your address in the from. So the from and the to positions on the envelope must be your address and your name. And once you get to the post office, they're going to put this little brown stick on the envelope. And preferably when you do this copyright this way, make sure you use the post office's envelope. That way it looks very authentic. Don't go be cheap like most people are using a plain corny white envelope. Nope. Use the post office envelope. Sometimes it's $1.19 or something like that for those brown padded envelopes, and make sure you use one of those. And when you get to the counter, the lady or the dude is probably gonna seal it with the brown slip thing that they do, and then it's gonna put a bunch of stamps on there with the date on it. I mean, it's gonna be a whole lot, and you don't ever open it. Now, the other way to copyright is to go through LegalZoom, or you can do it yourself. I personally prefer to go through LegalZoom. I pay about $179.99, $199.99. I've done it God knows how many times. I'm not interested in being cheap when it comes to protecting my work. Retaining the ownership of what I've created. Spend the money for your ownership. Don't be cheap. Don't be a tightwad. Because a lot of artists out there, some of y'all are just cheapskates, man. It's ridiculous. You don't want to pay, you want the best paint canvas, but you don't want to pay the price for it. The person creating the paint canvas too also has to make money. So value is right there. Ownership, and trademark too. You got to trademark what you create. You gotta protect what you create. Anything you put on the web, don't ever put anything on the web that isn't watermarked. Or better yet, that isn't even a small file. I mean, literally the tiniest file you can put on there, because you got a lot of shady people out there that want to steal other people's work instead of doing their own and put it in their pocket. So you've got to protect your work. Ownership is very, 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 very important. I can't stress that enough. Now, let's talk about creative control. Now, what does that mean, creative control? Let's say if you work for yourself, you have creative control, which means you can decide to do whatever you want with whatever you've created. But if you work for somebody, let's say like Marvel or DC or whoever it is that you're working for, even if you're just a graphic designer, they have creative control. Now they're telling you what to do. And you might not find that very interesting, because for me, one of the things why I never wanted to work for Marvel or DC or whoever was I wanted creative control. I'm not interested in doing stuff that I find corny. If I think an idea is corny, I'm not doing it. Don't care how much money you're paying for it. Whatever I do that's going to take up my time, take up my day, I have to love what I'm doing. I spend probably 15, 16 hours a day drawing, and I love every moment of my 16 hours. I mean, like yesterday, I started off at, let's say, 7 in the evening, and I wasn't done till 7 in the morning. So while people are sleeping, I'm over here drawing. That's just my life. I love what I do. I'm going to make the time for it. So creative control is important to me. I don't want to be in a situation where I'm working for somebody, they want me to do something, and I think it's corny, or I just think it's inappropriate or whatever. I'm not doing it, because when you work for somebody, they'll tell you, well, either you do it or we're going to have to let you go. I can't even imagine a situation where somebody's telling me that now. So I'll probably tell a person, go to hell. I don't give a damn what you think. That's why it's important to be creative control. A lot of artists, the problem with us is we don't understand business. You want to be famous, but you don't understand business. Art is not just a hustle. It's a way of living. It's a way of life that can give you a future. It can give you stability. It can give you retirement. I mean, it can give you so many things. It can open up the world to you. You can travel the world. You can be a teacher if you want to, at the same time being an entrepreneur. So for me being an artist who happens to be a businessman, and then I'm an artist, so that makes me even more dangerous, because I'm not just going to sign anything for you. I'm not doing anything for you if I don't have creative control, if I don't have ownership, if I don't have rights, if I don't have the right price, and the most important, my value. I'm not doing any of that for you. Creative control allows you to do these things. Those are all subcategories of creative control. You have to be able to say to the person you're working with, I'm going to decide how this is going to go. Even if you're doing a project for somebody, yeah, the customer comes up to you, but you have to let them know. All this imagination, where the imagination is going, whoa. That does not work in the artistic world. These are the boundaries. These are the things that are being done. And then with that person, you can work together. Because you can't let somebody just run you around all day long telling you what to do. So that's why it's important as an artist for these 5 tools for you to have these things in your hand. Creative control is important. As I said before, let's recap. Rights, price, value, ownership, and creative control. You as an artist have to understand these things. And if you don't, you're not going to be a successful artist. A lot of artists out there that are whining, crying, I kind of earn a living off of this. Yeah, you can, because you just don't have no grind in you. You're not willing to sacrifice. You're not willing to pay your dues. You got to pay your dues. I used to have a regular job before I quit completely and started focusing on my art only. Once I had enough, then I moved on to myself. And any job I did that got in the way of my art, I dumped it. Did not care, because I knew the ultimate goal was my art and in all the facets to which it can exist. So as an artist, y'all out there, if you out there listening to this, focus on these things, the art of business. Don't just be one of those artists that's clueless. Be an artist that's a businessman or a businesswoman. Be an entrepreneur with your art. So with that said, y'all, that concludes my show today. I want to thank y'all for listening. This show is produced, written, and directed by Adewale Booker Jr. Please check out our website at sanusivisionsshop.com. Please subscribe to our podcast at wherever you listen to them, at Spotify, Amazon Music, Deezer. And you can also listen to our website at sanusivisionsshop.com. You can follow us on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube, all at Sanusi Vision Shop, Sanusi Vision. Please review us, rate us, give us a 5-star. Don't be a hater. And as always, continue to aspire and achieve. Have a great week, y'all. Stay safe. Peace.